Because you've got a personal vendetta.
God, I couldn't care less. I'm not going to go back to the quote that we've argued over many a time, but...
now say it. You can't include this guy. Right, Brandon, the 5 best summer transfer signings in the Premier League. I've got my 5 best. You've got your 5 worst. Was it difficult coming up with it?
Yeah, it really was, actually. I felt like you've given me the task this week, but I got there in the end.
I thought I gave you the fun task. The 5 best is very nerdy and sneaky. Yours, you get to slate some people.
Yeah, I do, and I have.
Well, that was to be expected. I'm probably going to face quite a bit of heat from my decisions. Let's kick it off. The first player and part of my top 5 best summer signings in the Premier League, I'm going to go with Alejandro Garnacho. Now, look, I know by your reaction you're going to be like, oh yeah, you're saying that because he's a United player. He's left us. I don't like him. But £40 million, and if you're interested in stats, which I am, Alejandro Garnacho scored 26 goals, 22 assists in the Premier League by the age of 20. He has an 81% pass completion rate, which is very good for a forward. Garnacho was the only teenager in Europe's top 5 leagues with 15 plus goal contributions in the 23-24 season. He scored, obviously, the greatest overhead kick in Premier League history as well. I think the other side to that, last season, actually, Garnacho attempted 89 dribbles, completing just 26, making him the lowest success rate in the Premier League, which is quite an astounding stat, actually. But anyone who watched him enough would probably predict that. But anyone who does know him and watches him knows that he is an absolute star. He has star quality. Like, if we're looking at players that have also signed in the same position for Chelsea, like Jamie Gittins, really big sum of money, you think that's going to be his competition. And you look at the stats and the underlying numbers. We look at progressive ball carries. We look at ball recoveries. You look at someone who can pass and be creative. Garnacho is absolutely staggeringly below par when it comes to comparing him side by side with Jamie Gittins. I've actually got a little graphic which I'll show on the podcast, but it's astonishing. I think the thing that I'm looking at with Garnacho, £40 million, this is an 80, 90, £100 million player potentially who Chelsea have just nabbed for 40 million quid. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. I just think from Chelsea's point of view, if he doesn't do well, he's 21, they will still be able to sell him on. I'm not looking at a player that is going to be £12 million, £15 million next year. Regardless of how he does at Chelsea, he is going to be a successful transfer in terms of financial decisions. I think it is a great decision by Todd Bowley and Chelsea, and I think he's a really good signing.
There's a lot to unpack there. And I've got several differing opinions on it. Firstly, I don't know the exact stats and whatever, but I'm sure you'll have seen that clip of the two fellas talking about him being third under the age of 21. He's only got Lamine Yamal and someone above him in terms of goals and assists.
Might be Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, and when you're putting him in those conversations, the slack that or the stick that he gets, particularly from United fans, which I understand because you've had to sit and watch him for a couple of seasons, and he's been disappointing to say the least. But when you're putting him in that list, you have to sort of sit up and take notice, really, don't you? My issue with it being in the best transfer list is Chelsea do seem to have an abundance of players in either the attacking midfield or sort of the wide player category. And when I come onto my list, I'll sort of allude to this as well, but it's a lot of money for, I think any transfer to Chelsea is just so frustrating because they've got so many players and it's almost hard for any of them to nail down a place. I do 100% get your point on the money side of things. I think it's almost like investing in gold or silver. I don't think his value is going to go down. And so business wise, yeah, absolutely on board. I like him as a player. I'm never going to sit here and say that I'd have loved to have had him at Liverpool, but that's probably to do with the United thing. Pre-Man United, or if he was playing for a different team with some of the things that you've seen him do, I wouldn't have been upset had he ended up at Liverpool. I don't think he'd necessarily start every game or be a big fish in a big pond at Liverpool. And at Chelsea, I do think he might be a small fish in a big pond almost. But I can see why you've got him in there. I think there might be a little bit of bias. I'm not going to say I completely disagree. I probably wouldn't have him in the top 5 of the summer, but it's not a horrendous shout for me.
I think my judgment is partially skewed because I know the potential watching him week in, week out, and it's also...
Oh, he's exciting, without a shadow of a doubt.
He's maybe one of the most exciting, frustrating players, and he's just a classic one of those players who thinks he's maybe a little bit better than he is. But in terms of his quality, when he's on it, I mean, 40 million quid for someone that age is a joke. And when I've worked out these transfers, I've kind of looked at it as like, is it a massive risk? Is it going to benefit them financially? Could it be a long-term solution to a problem at the club? So I think with Garnacho, every season, he's contributing goals and assists, and this is where I compare him. Like, you look at someone like Pedro Neto, and I'm a big fan of Pedro Neto, lovely footballer to watch, super quick, got loads to his game, but he hasn't got goals and he hasn't got assists. And Garnacho has both of those and can only, I think, improve as well. Like, I think Garnacho's a player that I'm gutted has had to leave Man United, but I don't think it was sustainable. If he was a Liverpool player, or maybe a City player, or playing in another big side, I think he'd have been a success by now. And I think that's a Man United problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so cliche, but it is a graveyard for talent when you're not performing well. It's hard to look good when the rest of the team are playing so poorly.
My second one, I've gone with Harvey Elliott for a player that was just the player of the tournament in the under-21s to go on loan, but with the obligation to buy for 35 million quid. I think that's outrageous business from Villa. And I think Liverpool, it's a bit of a strange one because Liverpool really do maximise in terms of their transfer income. When they sell a player, they get money. And 35 million quid, I thought, was a steal for Harvey Elliott. He's a player that is absolutely supreme technically. He's such a smart player. But I think his biggest issue is that he can play in so many different positions. He's never nailed down one position. But when you look at the talent, if he starts adding goals and assists to his game, which he did when he was on loan at Blackburn at such a young age, I think at 22 there's mountains of potential. I think he's a great signing for Villa.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back to the quote that we've argued over many a time, but
now say it.
People that know what I'm talking about will know that I've always been a massive fan of Harvey Elliott.
Brandon said that Harvey Elliott will win a Ballon d'Or, and we argued about it for 2 years, and I think now finally maybe you've conceded.
Well, I did say he could, not he will. I said he could win a Ballon d'Or. Okay,
you said will.
Listen, you hit the nail on the head. Technically, he's brilliant. He's a strange one for Liverpool because he really divided opinion, almost 50-50. You speak to half the Liverpool fans on a match day and they'd absolutely adore him and wish he got more game time, and the other half would say, get rid of him, he's useless. And I do think it is purely that positional thing. If Villa can play him, I think as a 10 is his best position. He's not quick enough or strong enough to be a winger, not strong enough or defensive minded enough to sort of sit in that midfield and nail down a place. I think a 10's perfect for him. You've got that technical, intricate play. 35 million, he's worth more than 50 in my opinion. I just hope and think that there will probably be some sort of buyback clause for us. Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes have been seen to be really good at doing that with every player. Jarrell Kwanzaa, all the sort of that we're letting go with the view of go there, get a load of experience, we get some money in for now, and then we'll buy you back when you're potentially on the verge of being world class. So good move for everyone. I 100% would have had him in my list. I think it's a brilliant signing for Villa. Yeah,
I agree. My third one, I've gone with João Pedro for Chelsea. Another Chelsea signing, makes my list, but 60 million quid, 36 goal involvements already in the Premier League at just 23 years old, and 4 goal involvements already in just 3 games. He started off absolutely on fire. You look at the way he played in the Club World Cup, big games, big moments. He turned up and the Premier League started and he's there and amongst the goals. I think he is a really intelligent striker. When I look at a player who can play in a 10, I'm looking at someone who has got an eye for a pass, but if you put him up front, he's got an eye for goal. He can get into the right positions. There's so many strikers who don't fill those positions intelligently, that aren't in there and ready to pounce when the ball drops. He's one of those players who does get in the right spot. So, yeah, I think Chelsea have made a great signing there. I think if we're looking at, the best signings, look, 60 million quid is steep, but in today's market, to get a player that young who is of that quality, I think it's a great signing.
Yeah, and for me, the Delap signing didn't make sense if they knew that they were going for, or knew that João Pedro was in the works, because he's, in my opinion, 5-10 times the player. Surprised me with how well he started. I thought he might struggle to adapt to being in that sort of big club environment, but he looks to have absolutely relished it. And he's got an arrogance about him. I always love a player that's got sort of not quite full on arrogance, but like the sort of cockiness about them. He obviously backs himself. He's technically very gifted, like you said, an intelligent footballer. I've got him in my fantasy team, and I don't want Chelsea to do anything well this season, but I'd be over the moon if he scored shitloads of goals and they finished 5th.
I think that's a player that gets 10, 20 goals every season, and I think these days 10, 20 goals in the Premier League is crucial. You need a striker to be contributing. Your wingers are going to contribute a lot of goals, but if you can spread that across your front line, strikers aren't necessarily expected to score Haaland level goals these days, but if they can get sort of 15, maybe 20, then you've got a really good striker on your hands, and there's not many in the Premier League, I don't think, these days. Fourth one, I've gone with Jack Grealish, the loan option with a buy at the end of the season for 50 million quid. I think this is great business, because I think Jack Grealish is a top player, and what we've seen at City, his price tag, the way people have talked about him on social media, the way pundits have talked about him, I think has done him a massive disservice. Yes, 100 million quid, but this is a player who spent 4 seasons at Man City, a treble winner. He needs minutes. He absolutely needs minutes. He's a top talent. I think back at the videos watching him play with Phil Foden in England training, where they're kind of two-touching it across the pitch on the half volley or the volley, and I'm just like, look at the quality. The players at the City camp, Oscar Bob spoke about it. Jack Grealish is the absolute pinnacle in terms of technical ability in that City squad, and to see him rotting on the bench, to see a player that has been almost castrated, here's your role, you do not do what makes you so great. He's a maverick, he's a runner with the ball, he's a ball carrier, he's progressive, he wants to take people on, and that is what Jack Grealish is. To then stifle him and then make him this kind of robotic, defensive, pass backwards sort of player so City can expand and create width on the pitch has been so frustrating. And for Jack, I don't think he will regret the move, but I think it has really killed him in terms of his progression, in terms of what we view Jack Grealish is as a player, and I think this Everton move has already proved it. I mean, 4 assists in 3 games this season will be massive for Jack Grealish. I think it's a great signing. The loan with the option to buy at the end of the season for 50 million quid. I think 50 million quid in today's market for a player of that quality is really good business as well. So I think Everton have done well.
Yeah, you can see it straight away, can't you? You can see he's just happy to be playing. We've spoken about it before. You've spoken about it before. He is just a nice bloke, and so if he's enjoying himself and has that freedom, like you said, then he is too good to not play football still at this highest level. I really hate when players go to the likes of back in the day Chelsea and these days City, where it's almost like we'll buy them because they're at the peak of their powers, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then it is what it is because we've got the money. And Jack Grealish, the word you used then, maverick, is so perfect. You cannot take that allowance away from him to do that ability to do that, because he's useless without it. And that's not any disservice to Jack Grealish, but you need him to be taken on defenders. Give him that freedom to drive past someone or play an intricate 1-2. This City system under Pep is very much just bore the life out of people, dragging them left and right, and then eventually pumping it forward to Haaland or give it to De Bruyne when he was there to make a chance. And I hope for him as a player, he does really well and continues to do well. Obviously, I would rather it have not been at Everton, but it's a brilliant move for them all round. And I agree, 50 million for a player like that to be able to do what he could do for Everton to help push them on for somewhere like Europe or just get them out of this habit of being sort of fighting relegation every year. It'd be worth his weight in gold.
It's one that absolutely drives me nuts, and it makes me so angry. But I'm always so frustrated when I see a player who has quality like that then go to a system, become a cog in a system. And when you've got a player like Jack Grealish, you want him for everything that isn't perfect. You want him for that kind of, look, you give him the ball and you don't know what's going to happen. And when he is the leader, the man that everybody looks to, look what he did at Villa, the way he was performing at Villa, dragging them back up to the Premier League and then getting them stable in the Premier League. And I don't know if you saw Michael Owen's comments this week on Rio Ferdinand's channel, but he was expressing how frustrated he was, and rightly so, that the way Jack was treated when he moved from Villa and then came back to Villa Park, and the way the fans kind of booed him and things like that. I don't know what Villa fans think of this, and I don't know whether it's, universal amongst them, but Jack Grealish is a legend at your club and should be treated as such. And the fact that he got booed, and he will likely get booed this weekend as well, I think is a disgrace. He did everything for that club. He's a local lad, been there since he was a kid, and got them 100 million quid. That is, he should be a hero.
No comment.
Yeah, there you go. Look, there was no reference to Trent there. I
know. I know.
It was more to, like, I just don't like it.
Yeah,
it's very different circumstances, by the way.
Of course it is. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Very, very different. Part, almost the entire thing about Trent, for a lot of people, was the money side of things. So it is a completely different scenario.
Yeah, would have been interesting to see if he'd have gone for 100 million quid though. My fifth one and final one, best signing of the season, Hugo Ekitike for £79 million. It's huge. Look, it's steep. And as a United fan, I'm not here to, glaze Liverpool players, but at the end of the day, I've got to call a spade, and at the end of the day, he is a top quality talent. When I look at his numbers, 34 goal involvements in 48 games last season at Frankfurt, that's outrageous. Then you look at someone who has, had to adapt to the Premier League, which obviously infamously Bundesliga players struggle with. He's already scored and assisted 3 times in 3 games. So it's looked like it is so comfortable. Obviously got that goal in the Community Shield as well to make it 4, really. But in the Premier League, it's looked comfortable for him at 23 years old. I think Liverpool have got one of the top talents in the world in his age group, and I think it's a great piece of business. The question I'll ask you and Liverpool fans, does he still play when Isak is fit?
Just before I answer that, one thing I will say on top of his ability, which I think has surprised a lot of us in an unbelievably positive way, is his attitude to being asked whilst on international duty about the arrival of Alexander Isak, and him saying that he's admired him from afar and it's unbelievable to be playing with a player like that, and he's going to welcome him with open arms and whatever happens type thing. And I know it's very sort of media training and things, but from his personality that you've seen already with dancing videos of Jeremy Frimpong, the training videos where he's having a laugh and a joke with pretty much every player there, he seems like such a likeable lad with a good head on his shoulders. And I think that if he does have to make way in some circumstances for Isak, I think he's just really enjoying being at Liverpool. To answer it directly, Arne Slot has got probably the least. I put it this way: I'm not envious of his decision that he's going to have to make every week. He has got such a decent squad in terms of depth now, and if you take Ekitike out for Isak, where do you put him? Because you put him on the left. Cody Gakpo's been on fire at the start of the season and has contributed so many goals and assists over the last sort of 12-18 months. That's a really tough ask to just ship him off for no reason. Obviously, we don't really play a 4-4-2. You're not going to necessarily put him in a 10, I don't think. So when you sign a striker for a British record fee of £125 million that everyone knows is Prem proven and can score you 15, 20 goals a season, what a hard decision that is to make. What a lovely
feel so
place
sorry for you.
Yeah, what a lovely place for Liverpool fans and Arne Slot to be in, where if he doesn't play Alexander Isak, then he's got Hugo Ekitike to fill in. Squad depth in cup competitions. It looks brilliant. Cody Gakpo can obviously play up there as well. Chiesa can play up there. So I think he is a fantastic signing, and the money almost looks like a really good deal for how he started. If he continues that, which I hope he does, with or without Isak in the side, it's a future proof from Liverpool to have got him in. And I just love his attitude. I think he's really, really likeable.
Yeah, I agree. I've got some players that didn't quite make the list that I did want to mention. Nordi Mukiele has moved to Sunderland from PSG. That went under the radar. I think it's a great signing. We mentioned Joao Palhinha, but what a player he is, and what a signing that is for Tottenham. Malik Diouf, we mentioned him at the start of the season. I thought he was worth a mention again because he's already started the season really well. Mateus Cunha, who I'm convinced will be a really good signing for Man United and something that could be a catalyst to turning their fortunes around. And I have not stopped mentioning Tijani Reinders for Man City, who is an unbelievable signing, and he's proving to everyone. Now, the thing is with the Reinders thing, when I've mentioned him over the last couple of years and saying, this guy, everyone needs to be talking about this guy. Now he's here and everyone's talking about the guy. I'm a bit annoyed about it. It's like, all right, don't overhype him too much. And now I want to go the other way. I'm such a contrarian, but he's got to be worth a mention because, what a signing.
Just before you go anywhere, Lewis Bowden, if you're watching this, it's not funny or cool to be calling him reindeers. You're a fully grown adult, mate. Chill out. Anyway, carry on.
I've never heard that, but it is kind of funny. We've got your 5 worst signings. Let's go through them.
Okay, so I did go on a slightly different spin. I think in a summer where so much money was spent, it is kind of hard to pick sort of like the worst players or whatever. So I've gone with sort of the overall context of the move. Buonanotte to Chelsea is such a strange signing for me. They've got so many players in that sort of position already. It's a loan deal. And then sort of like to top it all off, the poor fella did his interview and said that he can't wait to finally play Champions League football, and he's been left out of the squad named and registered. How harsh is that?
Mate, something's fishy about this, isn't it? I mean,
it's not right, is it?
About it. Like a lot of these signings, Chelsea are guilty of it more than anyone else, and what they're guilty of, I just can't quite work out because I'm not in tune with financial fair play. But something isn't right, and then Buonanotte,
it doesn't make sense.
He won't play in the first team. He's obviously, like you said, been ousted from the Champions League squad. Something's not right about it.
Yeah, and look, this is what I mean. It's not necessarily any shade on him as a player because at Brighton there were games where he was sort of looked like the best player on the pitch. But exactly as you said, what's he doing going to Chelsea? He's so far down in that pecking order for the positions that he could play that he's not homegrown. It just doesn't make any sense.
There is something, and it's obviously look, if I'm putting my conspiracy hat on, which is regularly on, I'm looking at Brighton, Chelsea, their relationship, the comments from the Brighton owner saying that Chelsea are his best customers, the amount of deals that go back and forth, and maybe the
Enciso thing, mate.
Look, there is definitely something going on between Brighton and Chelsea. Whether you want to put your conspiracy hat on or not, you just look at the facts and the way that transfers are going between the two. Then you get this Buonanotte deal. Something isn't right between Chelsea, and I think it's going to come out in a few years.
Hopefully. Liquidation. Would be great. Yeah. Okay, might ruffle a few feathers, and I know that you're going to disagree with this one, but you can look at it as a bad transfer for the player and a bad transfer for the team. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I
was going to say, I know who you're talking about, but I actually wasn't going to go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah.
Who were you going to go with, just quickly?
I thought you were going to say Sesko. Sheshko.
Oh, no. I actually haven't got any Man United players in here, which it took me a lot to not do that. Calvert-Lewin. I've never liked him as a player. Okay, I'll put that out there from the start. He had this aura and presence about the interviews when he was a free agent, as if the teams like Manchester United or your Chelsea's would come in and swoop in on him because they'd be desperate to have a player like him. And he's ended up at a promoted team in Leeds United. If you're going to have that sort of attitude, which is fine, look, believe in yourself, great. If you're going to have that attitude, you need to put a stamp on things. And I know he hasn't played very much. He's only probably played 50, 60 minutes over a couple of games. But when you're playing Sheffield Wednesday and the state that they're in, and you get that many chances for your new club, you need to be burying them. You need to be putting them away. And Calvert-Lewin, for me, is one of those players that if he doesn't get a good start and starts scoring goals, he can go on long, long droughts. So it's a bad move for him in the sense that I don't think he wanted to go there. And it's a bad move for Leeds. I know it's risk-free. I will say that. We know that. But they will inevitably look to him, whether it's starting or off the bench, to be the goal scorer for them, to drag them to safety and beyond. And I just don't think he will be that player for them.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
No, I don't. I think you're right. I think Calvert-Lewin maybe had his opportunity under Ancelotti, was where they got the best out of him, scoring in the 6-yard box. He's fantastic in the air. There's something that you can't deny about Calvert-Lewin is you stick the ball up there, he wins it. I think he's got one of the highest success rates in terms of aerial duels in the Premier League, and when he plays, when he's fit, he's a handful. But yeah, you're right, a lot of the things that you said, I don't see him succeeding at Leeds personally either.
And it's and on top of that, it's a risk for him, isn't it? Because if you don't succeed at Leeds, where do you go from there? You know, who's going to be knocking on the door? This is it. And so it's I don't know the ins and outs of the exact reasons why he left Everton, but I'm sure it was just that he didn't renew his contract. In which case, sort of, you play with fire, you expect to get burned, really, don't you?
I don't think Everton offered him a new contract. I think his injuries were a big problem, possibly.
Another thing, exactly that. It's in terms of financial, there's no risk, but there is in terms of actual playing time. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of it, and that Sheffield Wednesday game, I watched it, and it just sort of topped it all off for me, and I just thought that's not a good move for either party. Okay, number 3, I've got Matis Tell. So
not impressed with what you've seen last season?
Not really. It's a decent chunk of money for him. I know he's very young, but again, it's almost the bad move for both players. Probably more so for Spurs, though. It's a decent chunk of money that they've paid for him. They had the preview of him on sort of second half of last season on that loan deal. He hasn't necessarily impressed me, but the other thing is again, like your Buonanottes and other players like Garnacho and whatever, he's got competition at Spurs for places, and whether they play him wide or play him through the middle up top, they've just signed Kolo Muani as well, who can be fairly versatile in that sense. Richarlison is the same. Solanke's obviously more of a direct number 9, but I just don't see him getting in the squad over those 3 consistently. So good depth player, very young. If they can mould him and get him in a few games and he scores a few goals and contributes, then yeah, sure, he could make a run of it. But I just think that they've got better players to go ahead of him.
I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but I'm pretty sure I looked at Spurs' Champions League squad, and I'm pretty sure they admitted him.
He has, he's been left out,
and league phase.
And he wasn't that impressed with it either. He was quite brash in his statement and basically said, "Look, I came here to play, and for the moment, I'm contracted to Tottenham." And you think you've literally just signed the full deal, and you're already saying, "Oh well, I'm contracted here, so I'm just going to get my head down and play football." It just seems like a bad move all round, and probably one that he wasn't expecting. Another sort of overpromise and under delivered from the club. False promises are never going to make players happy, and I'm sure he would have assumed that he would be in the Champions League squad.
Yeah, I called at the the day of the transfer, I think I recorded a video and I said he is a potential flop waiting to happen. It's not because he's a bad player. I watched actually quite a lot of Bayern games prior to his signing at Tottenham, and when I watched him, he was only coming on for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, but he was scoring goals and he looked dangerous, and I was like, do you know what, this could be a player. He then got linked to Man United. I think he got linked to like Chelsea and Arsenal and maybe even Liverpool at the time, and then it was like all of those deals fell away, and then Tottenham were left, and it almost felt like he didn't want that deal, but he wanted to stay at Bayern. Bayern didn't want to keep him, and he was almost pushed out to Tottenham, and he had no choice. So yeah, it didn't feel right from the off, and then obviously things have transpired and demonstrated that as well.
Do you know what it feels like to me? He feels like one of these players that just doesn't like the weather and the country. That's what it feels like.
You know? He was in Germany, mind.
I know, but like the Germans just seem that, like, especially in Bavaria and stuff, it's just like a bit more of an atmosphere. London's moody as fuck, innit? It's just, if you're not really heart set on it, London's crap. But you have such high expectations of it. So I don't know. That's pure speculation. Sorry, Mr. Tell, if that is fabrication. Don't sue me. And I hope you do well.
Might see you for getting his name wrong.
Well, I said Mr. Tell.
Oh, I thought you called him Musa Tell.
No, Mr. Tell.
His first name's Schoen.
His dad, I can't think of one. His dad, Schoen, would be proud. Fine, well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Right. Number 4. I've got an issue. It's... I'll get this one wrong. It's Igor or Ignore. Which one is it? Igor Julio.
I thought it was Igor Julio.
Igor. I would have said Igor. Maybe my autocorrect. This Brazilian yard dog cost us...
I can't.
Cost us the Mark Gay deal. After doing a medical at Palace, he's decided last minute to go to West Ham. All the guy wants... What?
You can't include this guy because you've got a personal vendetta.
God, I couldn't care less.
Mark Gay.
Mate, all he wants... He's the 6th choice centre-back at Brighton. Why would anyone want him? And if they do want him, let him go to fucking Palace so we can get Gay.
Wait, Igor Julio was at Brighton, went to Villarreal? Or Valencia, is it? And then and then is signed for West Ham. Is that the right timeline?
Possibly, but I know that he was so far down the pecking order at Brighton, they wanted him out as soon as possible and would listen to anyone. Palace was stupid enough to put their flipping 5 pence in and make an offer for him to replace Mark Gay or give him a chance of selling Mark Gay. And then he does the medical, signs the papers, realises that there's no all-you-can-eat Brazilian buffets in Brighton, so wants to go to fucking East End instead and go to West Ham. Knobhead.
Life. It's
crap signing, crap player, yard dog of the century.
No.
Get him in my list.
No, you can't. Right, okay. All right then, fine. No, do you know what? Fine, cool. You can't carry on for the entire season not explaining what a yard dog is, because bear in mind, we have not got a decent number of followers yet. We are very new. People are new coming to this channel. They want to hear in-depth analysis on football players, and you're calling them yard dogs. We need to explain what a yard dog is rather than woofing down the mic to me. And you've included him just because he's cost you Mark Gay, which is poor for you, actually. I
think that the beauty of the yard dog is that they can be whatever you want them to be. I think they can. You can imagine them.
It's a bit wishy-washy. It's not.
Yeah, it's fugazi. You can, if you want him. Go on.
Can you give me 5 of the most yard doggy players so I can kind of get a grasp of what you mean?
Joe Linton.
Yeah.
Igor Julio.
Doesn't count. Go on.
Who was the Italian West Ham defender? Beginning with B.
Italian West Ham defender? Oh.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, he was there for... No, there was an Italian one, Ogbonna.
Ogbonna the yard dog, right? So you got Ogbonna, he's a yard dog. You've got... I'd have John Joe Shelby in there. Mainly bold players, I'll be honest. Yeah. You get my drift.
Called Declan Rice. Shit. No, I don't get your drift. You called Declan Rice a yard dog as well last week, so he's in there as well, apparently.
Yeah, well, that I'll be really honest with you guys. That was just to wind up Arsenal fans because they're the sensitive bunch.
Oh, wind me up as well. Okay, where were we?
Number 5 is a joint one, and it's more of a sort of frustration with the way that football's gone with transfers. It is genuinely nothing against these players. It is the fact that these transfers are made purely out of tactics, and it's for the homegrown quota. The 2 examples I've gone with are Freddie Woodman from Preston to Liverpool and Marcus Bettinelli from Chelsea to City. It's... Because you need to have a certain amount of homegrown players, and these big clubs are constantly shifting players in and out, foreign players in and out or whatever. I'll take Freddie Woodman because it's more sort of... I know more about it. That guy seems lovely, but he is just never, ever going to get genuine minutes for Liverpool. It's a dream move for him, fine. Almost like the Ben Davies move a couple of years ago, where you just get someone in for the sake of getting them in for that quota, and... I feel sorry for him in a sense that it's almost a career killer, but also for them it's kind of like a brilliant opportunity to be in and around the best players in the world and not really have any pressure on you. So it's a win on that sense, but the overall values of the transfer and what they stand for, it really, really frustrates me. It's just rule bending, and it's almost like, you know, like concussion subs, you just get an allowance for it. You should just let people have an allowance for it. I get there are rules, but it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, to be fair.
I'll be honest, mate, I couldn't really pick out. There's been some really, really good transfers. I feel like there's been way more good transfers than bad transfers. And we've already done sort of flop or not and who we think might. And so I didn't want to go too negative. It's more the context around a lot of these transfers. I don't like a lot of it. And so I sort of, you know, put a bit of light on the situation.
Yeah, no, I don't mind it. And yeah, you're right about it being a dream for him, but yeah, it's a signing for the sake of signing. Just sign a dinner lady instead. It's like they play as many minutes. So yeah,
100%. Yeah, get a lad off the street that will never have the chance to do it. Sign him up. Never need to turn up for training. Pay him £5 a week and just say he's a Liverpool player.
Yeah, I agree. Very good. Okay, moving on. I have got a question that I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to then answer it myself in the same breath. Which one player who wasn't world class could you clip up and convince your grandkids was the best player in the world? I have 5 nominations. The nominees are Olivier Giroud, Adel Taarabt, Moussa Dembele, Anthony Martial, and my favourite is Mario Balotelli. When we look at those players, you look at Olivier Giroud's goal catalogue, some of the goals he scored are just absolutely insane. Scorpion kicks, volleys, he had absolutely everything. One of France's all-time top goal scorers, he might even be their top goal scorer. Then you look at Adel Taarabt, someone who was just an absolute joke. When you look at the way he played on the pitch, taking it past players, it was like it was easy to him, and he was playing right out of the schoolyard, a proper maverick when you look about players who, you know, who just had fun on the pitch. And Moussa Dembele, I mean, every player who's ever played with him in training say how great a talent he was. You couldn't get the ball off him, so one of the best five-a-side players. You always wanted him in your fives. You got Anthony Martial with so much promise, and a player that scored a great catalogue of goals. And when I look at a player that had everything, he had everything, the world at his feet. And you look at that goal against Norwich, I don't know if you remember it, where he's just taking it back, checks back and scores so nonchalantly. I thought, yeah, he could be clipped up easily. And yeah, my favourite, Balotelli, scored some of the most outrageous goals, the most arrogant goals. That goal that he scored against City where he just shoulders it in. And I don't know, there is something about a player who is just out there and playing his own game. Doesn't care what the manager thinks, doesn't care what the fans think. He's out there just enjoying himself, and thinks he's the best player in the world. I think you could clip him up easily and convince your grandkids he was better than even he thought he was. What about you?
Yeah. The funny thing about Balotelli is all you need to do is include that one in a pre-season friendly where he tried to do like a Marseille roulette finish and it went wide and Mancini just hooked him straight away. So, but he was free kicks, long range, take it past 10 players and slot it home. My favourite out of those 5 is Adalterat for me. Just so silky. He's like a proper Barclay Streets you'll never forget. I can't for the life of me understand why you've got Anthony Martial in there in comparison with those in terms of like the clips and things like that. Like for me, the other ones you could like if no one knew who they were, you could really make a good case and say they were one of the best players in the world. I can't see it with Martial. You're just living off Martial. That's all you're living off.
Oh yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, yeah.
No, but
see, I've erased it from my mind.
He scored some really important goals, some big goals as well, and like great first touch, was quick, could dribble. I think you could easily convince your grandkids he was the best player in the world.
I shout out to Matthew Reeve, one of our mates. He was so obsessed with Moussa Dembele. When we were at uni, he forced me to Facebook message Moussa Dembele and say, "Yo, Moose, any chance of some tickets to Villa this weekend?" Because Villa were playing Spurs.
And he responded, didn't he?
Yeah. He gave us two normal seats and then a box for 4 of us.
Fair play.
Yeah. Shout out, Moose.
I'm going to move on before we finish to just a little bit of a preview for this weekend coming up. You got City versus United, massive game. How do you see that one going?
With no Haaland, I think City 4-0.
Fantastic. Good chat. Burnley versus Liverpool, how do you see that one going?
You'll see in a minute with the weekend treble, but I think we should and hopefully will kick in a little bit and blow them away. Famous last words, clip me up, get at me in the comments. We'll smash them.
I'm really looking forward to this weekend, and if Burnley get a result and United get a result, oh my God, what a weekend. What a weekend.
I won't be here on Monday if that happens, so.
You're going to Burnley
yes,
on
mate.
the weekend? Yeah.
I am indeed, yeah. Nice little 4-hour journey. I haven't actually, no.
I've been weirdly like 4 times, but it's not the greatest, and if it rains, I'm telling you now, that's one of the coldest places I've been in my life. Turf Moor, cold, rainy. It's horrible, absolute hell. And I've actually, weirdly, mate, I've actually watched Liverpool play at Turf Moor before.
Yeah, I remember. And we'll save it for another day why you always were at Burnley.
Yeah, but when I was there, because we used to stay in the hotels with all the players, there was a moment where I don't know if I've told you this story. I'm pretty sure I would have. Yeah, so I walk into the lobby and I went to go to the toilet, and I'm looking round and it's like this big empty lobby. Nobody else is in there, and then one person walks through the door, and it's Jurgen Klopp, and I'm stood face to face with Jurgen Klopp. He's just as confused as I am, not because I'm there, because he doesn't know where he is. And then he just goes, and walks up the stairs, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And I think I'm in a fever dream. I walk out the other side of the door. Virgil van Dijk walked past me. Jordan Henderson, Mo Salah all walked past me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And obviously Liverpool players were staying in the same hotel as me, but very surreal moment to be stood.
We've still got
in a lobby.
I'll try and find them, because you sent me all the videos of you like desperately asking for their signatures and saying how much you love them. And
I was going. That's what I was doing. I was giving it large, mate. I actually started on Van Dijk. He backed down. We've got the Instagram section, so I am trying to include you guys who listen or follow on Instagram. If you haven't already, go and follow me on Instagram. It's at Alex Goalpost, and we will be reading your comments out in every week's show. I asked the question, who is the best transfer of the summer window in the Premier League? I've got some answers. Summer said Isak to Liverpool, goals, goals, goals.
Correct.
Jim Jam said Xavi Simons to Spurs. Hear me out. Yeah, I like that.
I like it.
Anthony said Voltemada, next big thing.
Literally
6 foot fucking 12.
9.
Alicia said Sesko will be boss. He needs to play, man.
Will be boss.
I hope you're right.
She's a Scouser.
I don't know. And then Dave said Liverpool. I don't think Dave understood the question, to be fair. But cheers, Dave.
Dave, were you dropped on your head as a baby, Dave?
If he's anything like Dave that we know, then he was. Yeah.
I thought it was that Dave. Sorry.
No, it wasn't that Dave. It was,
Sorry, Dave.
No, those people, I don't know any of them, to be fair. So yeah, if you wanting to get involved, yeah, I appreciate it. I like it. So yeah, in future, keep an eye out on Instagram. Go and follow me over there at Alex Goalposts. No day one FPL to talk about. We have got our weekend treble. Last week, Brandon, we won, both of us. It's weird because we've had 4 weeks. The 2 that I've won, you've also won on the same week, and the 2 that I've lost, you've also lost on the same week. So, but it's good. This one last week was actually, you have steamed ahead because your treble took you up by, I think it was like £6 or £7 more than my return was. So yeah, it's very, very good picks from you. My first selection this week is West Ham versus Tottenham over 1.5 goals. My second one is Newcastle to win at home against Wolves. And my third selection is Cardiff or draw. That's the double chance away at Stockport. £10 on is a return of £24.27. What is yours, Brandon?
I like this. There's a bit of disparity here. My first selection, as I alluded to earlier, is Liverpool -1. So that is Liverpool to win by 2 clear goals or more. Second selection is Swindon to beat Harrogate at home. And third selection is AZ Alkmaar to beat Heracles away at 1-2. That selection is. So the treble overall £10 on is actually £46.75 back.
Oh, you're a scumbag. Do you know what? This is going to be annoying because if you win that one, you could lose for 2-3 weeks in a row, and I would have to win like 2-3 weeks in a row to catch you. It's clever.
That made me a scumbag.
No, you scumbag, mate.
I've gone big this week. Yeah, I've gone big this week. It is fairly tactical. We've got a bit of a thing going on, sort of like a competition over the season. And I never, ever want to lose any money. But if we were being honest, we've been around the block with gambling. And when you see value, you sort of have to take it. So although we don't endorse it, if you do follow our picks and we've had a couple of winners, then you've got a safer option in Alex's, absolutely. And it's a very good bet. Mine is a little bit more risky, but obviously with risk comes rewards. So we'll leave it up to you guys.
Well, last year I times your stake by 7. So if you want to pick anyone to follow, surely it's got to be me. But at the moment, Brand's absolutely hammering me. We've both had 2 trebles come in, but your returns have been far superior to mine. So well done. Guys, if you have made it to the end of the show, we really appreciate it. If you want to go and follow me for all the best bits, I'm on TikTok. That's at Alex Goalpost. I'm on Instagram at Alex Goalpost. And if you want to listen to future or previous episodes, audio only, you'll find us on Spotify and you just search Alex Goalpost as well. Brandon, you are also on TikTok and starting to make a bit of a name for yourself. You're at WasLFC. Go and follow Brandon for all the best Liverpool content. You'll be doing match experiences, which I'm looking forward to. Your first video will be Burnley this weekend away, which will be interesting to see. Yep. Then if you have got... if you've got time, it's up to you. But if you've got time, just click that little like button on this video to show us some support. And also get in the comments, tell us what you think. Tell us anything. I mean, literally anything. Call Brandon whatever you want. You can call me whatever you want as well. And we'll discuss it in future shows as well. Thanks, Brand. Thanks for coming along for the ride. We're going to have a lovely weekend of football. Football is back. The Premier League is back, and I'm really looking forward to it. We'll see you next week, next Wednesday, and every Wednesday until the end of the season.
Sounds wonderful, mate. Thank you so much, guys. And Alex, you're a fantastic host as always. You've always been a great friend to me, and we're really, really glad that we're doing this.
Didn't feel that sincere, but thanks.